All right, we're going to get started again, Jelly. We will now be concentrating on building apps with multiple view controllers. So we did a nice job before looking at, say, single view applications. You add in control elements like a data picker and table, say a single table view. But oftentimes in our applications, we want to have multiple views, and we need to be able to switch between those views in order to present all the information that the user needs to get the job done. Now, it's not to say that a single view application isn't useful. You can do lots of very useful applications in just a single view. But those multiple view controllers, that's where you can get some quite sophisticated applications. So let's first take a look at the master detail applications. So we'll create a new project. And I'll go ahead and share my screen with you. Okay. So when we say create this new project, we will choose one of the templates that has multiple views. So that's master detail application. So that will actually allow us to drill down on views and see more details. So we'll choose master detail. Next, master detail. We won't use storyboards at this point. iPhone, and we will use automatic reference counting. And let's see what we've been given in the template. So we've got a detail view controller nib and a master view controller. And let's run that to see what it's doing. Okay, we can see that we have this plus button, plus. So it's adding rows to our table view with a timestamp. And in fact, we can even edit that, delete out rows. Let's add some table or some rows there. All right, we got quite a few rows. And then what happens when we press on one of the rows? We get a detail view. So this is a totally separate view controller, and it's displaying the timestamp right there. So let's say if we wanted to modify that to something else. How are we going to do that? Well, we have two view controllers here, the master and the detail view controller. So the master view controller header file looks like this. I'll open up a bit more space. Here's its implementation file. You can see it's been loaded up with lots of stuff for us. Here's the detail view controller. Here's the implementation file for the detail view controller. And I think what I would like to do is change the application so that it's just going to display the word detail here instead of the timestamp, and then modify the text that appears in that detail. So we do that by going to the master view controller's implementation file. And let's look for cell for row at index path. That's where we're going to be setting the text that appears in the labels of the cell. So this should look familiar. We allocate a new cell, or we attempt to first dequeue the cell. If there's no cell that gets dequeued, then we allocate a new cell. Okay. Now at this point, it's taking an object that had already been previously loaded up, and then passing in the description of that object to the cell text. So let's change that. So let's instead make the text say string literal detailed information. Or actually, no, let's make it a little more fun. Say hi to Jelly. And then we'll run that. Okay, there we go. Say hi to Jelly. So you see it's modifying the text of the cell by doing that. And then we drill down, okay, and it's putting the timestamp. Let's change what appears in this this detail page. Where do we do that? We don't do it on the detail view controller. We actually do it on the master view controller's implementation file, where we're passing in information to the next view controller. So which one of those methods within that implementation file would we want to use? Well, let's use did select row at index path. That's where we'll pass in new information. So this is the method that we want to modify. And what's going on in this? Well, we're checking to make sure that there's a detail view controller that's, remember, it goes master view controller to detail view controller. And if it doesn't exist, then we allocate a new one. So we know that that detail view controller is going to exist. And whoever wrote this code, made it so it's getting this date object and passing the date object here into the next detail view controller to be displayed. And then finally, pushing that detail view controller onto the navigation controllers, making it visible. But instead of providing this detail item of this object, this NSDate object, let's give it something else. Let's give it a string, NSString message. And we'll do an NSString alloc an int with format. And we'll say, hello, Jelly. You chose row I. So that's integer placeholder. And let's go ahead and pass in index path row. So we'll be reminded of the row we had just pressed. That's going to be our message. And we'll go ahead and pass that message into the next view controller. And we'll do that by saying self.detail view controller detail item equals message. Let's run that and see how it turns out. Say hi to Jelly. Hello, Jelly. You chose row 1. Hello, Jelly. You chose row 3. See how that's working? So the row number is being modified, and it's being passed in from the master view controller right here. So we're passing information between the two view controllers. Next, we'll be learning about how to build applications with multiple view controllers using the tab navigation bar.